Hello, 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 and welcome. Now, in today's interview, I'm going to be talking about how to succeed in life and business as an introvert with the amazing mumpreneur and self confessed bold introvert that is Natalie Muschett of quietlyambitious.co.uk. And before I continue, just in case you're unfamiliar with me, maybe kind of, I don't know who I am, I'm going to just very quickly introduce myself and not be rude about this thing, right? So, my name is Nina Dafe, and I am the founder and the editor of the Far Above Rubies collection.com, where I basically help amazing Christian women to know their worth, their power, and their purpose so that they may speak up, step out, and shine as the amazing and wonderful women of God that He created them to be. And if that's something that sounds right up your street and like your cup of tea, then definitely consider hitting the subscribe button below. All right, and you also want to stay tuned because by the end of this video you're going to walk away not only knowing how to survive in life and business if you yourself are an introvert, but also kind of the common myths and misconceptions about introversion and how we can avoid them, and also what a bold introvert is, right? Like you heard me say that Natalie is a self-confessed bold introvert, and we do a lot of talking about what that actually means, since it seems to be, I don't know, a bit of a juxtaposition, for lack of a better word. Yeah, anyway. And we also discuss much more. All right, Natalie's got many pearls of wisdom, so you definitely want to stay tuned for all of that. But before I jump into kind of the mains and the meat and potatoes of all of that, I'm going to do a very quick introduction to Natalie, and then, as I said, we're going to get into the crux of all of it. All right, so Natalie Muschett is an ambitious postgraduate in public health, mumpreneur, and co-owner of a small business called The Gift Chain, a premium gifting company for all occasions, which you can check out at www.thegiftchain.co.uk. Working from home, she looks after her daughter and occasionally writes for her blog quietlyambitious.co.uk, which is all about dreaming the impossible and inspiring others whilst doing it. When she's not doing all of these amazing things, Natalie consumes any spare time with other side hustles, as most entrepreneurs do. All right, and so without any further ado, we're going to go straight into the interview. Do enjoy. Hey Natalie, how you doing?
Hi Nina, I'm good, thank you.
Good, good, good. Thank you once again for being here today, agreeing to the interview. And well, as you know, I've already introduced you, but I just wondered whether you'd be able to just kind of, in your own words, introduce yourself and just let everybody know like who you are and what it is that you do.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, my name is Natalie Muschett, and I am what they call quietly ambitious. I'm a bold introvert, someone that has both the introverted personality and extroverted as well. And I'm also an entrepreneur. I have a daughter as well, so I wear many hats
Yeah.
to my life. So yeah, but mumpreneur I think would be the right term to kind of put everything
The
in.
whole umbrella, yeah.
Yeah.
I think that's the thing. We as women, we wear so many different hats. There's just so many different roles. How did you, I guess, get all of your hats? How did you go down the road of becoming, the blogger that you are, entrepreneur? And I guess how's your faith kind of fed into your journey so far as well?
Yeah, well, if I go to the first bit of your question, I think just by nature, I'm very inquisitive,
Mm,
and I tend to, once I master a topic or something, then I'm looking for the next thing.
yeah.
So that's always meant that I'm always doing this, I'm doing that. I've got this business here, I'm writing this, or picking up a new skill. So that's kind of like framed all the different things that I'm sort of involved in. So,
Yeah.
my business, family life, blogging, doing a bit of graphic design as well in
Oh
the background.
wow. Yeah.
So, I like to get my hands into a lot of things. And in terms of how my faith has played a part in this, it's really kept me grounded when
Mm,
things have been turbulent.
mm,
If you're an entrepreneur yourself, you'll know that it's up and down. It's
yes.
a really, really tough journey.
Yeah.
And having faith in God kind of centers you and just keeps you on track. And,
Mm.
you know, it gives you that hope that things will come round and will get better. So, yeah.
Absolutely. I love what you said as well about kind of always having your fingers in different pies and stuff like that, because
Yeah.
that's definitely like my personality as well. Like I always, I always kind of go back to when I was younger. Like I was the sort of child who was always just wandering around and exploring things and doing things. And I remember my dad, like well, I'm from a Nigerian background, so he was always, you know, why can't you just sit still, sit down, stay in one place? Do you know what I mean? And so as I got older,
Yeah.
I think like when, you know how most people tend to kind of go into the 9 to 5 and you're told almost that that's what you are for the rest of your life. Most people don't really tend to deviate from that. Whereas I was always someone like you who was interested in lots of different things. And I think that there was a point where, I don't know, I was maybe getting a bit frustrated with myself about that. Why couldn't I be like everyone else who was maybe content just to do one thing? And I thought back to what I was like when I was younger, and my dad saying all of that to me, and realized, do you know what? You've always been like that. You've never been able to stay in one place or sit still. And so you're not going to start now, you know? So calling yourself a bold introvert, I think it maybe is a similar journey where you, I don't know, maybe it's been like a journey to kind of accepting yourself and your differences as well. Can you talk a little bit about that? What, first of all, why a bold introvert? What would you say is like a difference between an introvert and a bold one?
Yeah, well, I think all introverts can be bold, but it's just realizing what gifts that you have in you. And, you know, every time I talk about, you know, my proudness of being introverted, I always have to reference Susan Cain, who wrote the book called Quiet.
Yes.
So if there are any introverts listening, I definitely recommend you have to read that book, because that is what kind of started me on this journey of me becoming a bold introvert and coming out and saying, look, I'm not afraid of having introversion. I have great qualities that I can bring to business, to the world, to my family, and I'm just going to be really proud of that. So yeah, that's where it came from. And yeah, that's the whole kind of message behind my blog, is just letting people know that people that have that personality type, that they can still do the things that they want to do in life, even if they are naturally quiet.
So is that the main, like for those who maybe are not sure, you know, or maybe want to identify it within themselves, like would you say that's the kind of the main quality or characteristic of being an introvert, or, you know, being quiet, or, you know, are there other sort of things as well? I guess it's different for different people, but you know.
Yeah, it's very complicated. Like there's not just one type of introvert. You can have introverts like myself who will be extremely sociable, will go out, I can do public speaking and all of that. But for me, my characteristic is that I know when my limit is. I know that I cannot push myself as far as an extrovert, and I would have to withdraw and recharge on my own. So that's my difference. And sometimes I have my days where I'm quiet for no particular reason, not because I'm shy, not because I feel insecure about anything, but just because I feel like I haven't got anything to say or give. So then I just don't open my mouth. So yeah, I think most people see introversion as quietness, because the majority of us, I would say, have that sort of trait. And it may be because extroverted people, obviously they like to talk a lot, and they may not be willing to listen to maybe someone that's softer spoken and stuff like that. So people may withdraw back. So yeah, it's very complicated. It really is. And I think some people sometimes link it to like anxiety as well. I know some people say, you know, their anxiety stops them from leaving the house, and then they sort of tie that into their introversion. When you look into it, anxiety, introversion, shyness, they're all different things. And if you look at introversion, it's just the focus of, like, I would focus my thoughts inwardly rather than outwardly. So whether if I'm thinking of an idea, I wouldn't necessarily call my friend to talk about it. I would ponder on it. And that is the only difference between introverts and extroverts. Everything else is kind of a variation of a different personality type.
It's interesting as well because when I kind of reflect on myself, I see very similarly to what you're saying about, like, I can't really stand small talk. You know, I am also the sort of person who I prefer to kind of make friends one by one rather than a huge group. But then at the very same time, I can be the life and soul of a party. Like, I love dancing, I love, you know, public speaking, all of those sort of things doesn't really bother me. You can see the bright colours that I'm wearing, you know. So it's an interesting one. I think when I was younger, I maybe was more extroverted, and because I realized maybe that that's the part of me that people liked a lot more, that I would show that part more. But then I realized, like, as you were saying as well, that actually I do need to recharge. I can't just constantly be social. Like, there does have to come a point where I need to kind of cut off. And so as I got older, and I guess with more research, you know, realizing actually, no, Nina, you're not just extrovert, you're actually an ambivert. You know, you're kind of, you know, balanced and a bit of both. So I think it's always very not just good, but actually important for people to know, you know, where they stand, you know, just because I think it makes life easier. And also relationships, being able to explain yourself, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. But yeah, no, I think everyone's got a bit of both in them. We're not all just, it's not all just, you know, clear cut down the line. But the way society is kind of set up, it is to benefit people that are naturally extroverted. You look at our schools, you know,
that's a good point.
At a small age are forced to work in groups, to work on a project. And some children, like myself, wouldn't naturally flourish in that setting because
group work.
I think anyone does, actually. They still force it.
Honestly.
Yeah. You'd always have that person that's not pulling their weight.
That was the issue I had. That was, you just literally hit the nail on the head. I was like, I can trust myself. I know that I will do what needs to happen. But like you said, there's always that one person. Yeah. Absolutely.
And for myself, you know, I would work better on my own and produce great work. And, you know, it doesn't stop there. You know, in corporate world, you've got open plan offices. I've worked in one myself, hated it. I didn't excel at all in that environment. And yeah, it's kind of just bringing an awareness to people that not everyone is one type of way, and that everyone can be great in their own way given the right circumstances.
Absolutely. And so how did that inspire you with Quietly Ambitious? Like, what I guess spurred you then to create this blog and this space for people like yourself?
Yeah, well, when I initially started it, it was a way to express myself. I read so much on introversion. I was like, I need to get this out. Like, my mind is just filled with all this information. I need to just share it now. But then when I relaunched again, I started to put the focus more on the people that are reading it. So creating that space online for people to come read something relatable to introversion, and also for me to give some advice now, because I feel like I've, you know, been reading it quite a lot and doing a lot of my own personal development. I feel like I've got something to give to others. So sorry, that's where the focus of the blog is going now. On helping people to realize who they can become.
Yeah, and just in line with that, you know, they're helping people to realize who they can become. Like, I love your point about how actually, to a certain degree, society is actually geared towards extroverts or people who have learned, I guess, to push that part of their personality out a bit more. And so for people who, you know, like yourself, are looking to start a business, or, you know, they're finding that they want to take bolder steps with their lives, but they also identify as introvert. Like, how do they I guess do that without, to a certain degree, compromising themselves, their natural personality? You know, what would your advice be in that case?
I think definitely spend some time to get to know yourself and your type of introverted personality. And the resources that I used were obviously the first book that I recommended, Quiet by Susan Cain. Not sponsored or anything. I'm just a fan of her. And the second book, which I haven't completely finished yet, but it's The Introvert Entrepreneur by Beth Buelow. And that is specifically, obviously, targeted towards introverted entrepreneurs. So I would start there and then take some time out to, journal and write down, like who are you, and what could you bring to the business world. And then once definitely create a business around your strengths.
Yes.
So for my business, I do gifting, so we do like gift hampers, and I do most of the creative stuff because that's where I like, I can sit down, I can think about, how are we going to create this hamper? How are we going to make it pretty? And, I think about who's going to receive it. How would they feel when they open it? All that stuff. That's stuff that I'm very comfortable doing. Definitely find something that plays to your strengths. And, you can look at, in the world, there are introverted entrepreneurs that are very successful. Mark Zuckerberg,
absolutely,
Facebook CEO, Bill Gates, I'm sure, is one. You don't have to be loud and in your face to actually make a difference. I would, look at those people and be inspired by them. And if all else fails, get an extroverted business partner, like I do, and leave them to do all the rest of the stuff.
I love that. Yeah. So how does that work? So you do, I guess, the creative stuff where, like you said, it allows you to play to your strengths as an introvert. So what aspects of the business then does she take care of that you necessarily wouldn't want to?
Yeah, well, we split it up. So she does like finance and sales. So, doing all the networking, speaking to people, calling people up, going to these events. I mean, I will go along to the events, but she is very much the one. She's a great connector. Like, she can just start a conversation with someone and find out, like, what can I do for you? And you just make really good connections there, where I'll probably take a back seat in that. And I'll do, see the operations side and doing stuff like that. So it's a good mix. It's a good balance.
Yeah, that's interesting, because I've never really, when I think about the women who I have interviewed before, they are either kind of solopreneurs or, they might manage a team, for example. But I can't actually think off the top of my head about, of another person who actually has like a business partner. So I guess to that degree, like for someone who might be looking for someone, like a business partner or, those sort of things, do you have any tips? What are the pros? How would you kind of go about that? Like, how has your experience been with that?
Yeah, well, my experience is probably not the most normal. I work off a lot of intuition, like gut feelings. If I get that, I run with it. So I actually only met my business partner, what year are we in? 2018. So I met her 2016. The end of 2016 in September. Didn't know her in August.
Wow.
And we started a business in November.
That is amazing.
Yeah, people were like, you're crazy. Like, you didn't know her from anywhere. But I just had a really good feeling about her. We clicked. And, I don't always like click with people like that. Yeah. So I thought, we have to do something together. It has its challenges as well, because you have to take responsibility for the business, and you're bringing two different types of personalities together. But for me, it was gut instinct on that. But in hindsight, as well, I probably could suggest getting to know the person a bit better and find out what their goals are, how they perceive, like, what do they want from the business? Is this going to be a side hustle for them, or is this going to be their main source of income? So establishing that from the beginning, I think, is absolutely necessary. And drawing up contracts as well. Doesn't matter how friendly you are, draw up a contract, sign it. So if anything later on happens, you've got that to refer
Absolutely. to. I think that's great advice, definitely. And how have you found kind of networking and doing all of that sort of stuff as an introvert as well? Because I think no matter whether you're extroverted, introverted, and ambivert, one of the things they always say about business is that it's about relationship, isn't it? And it's about networking and all of that sort of stuff. Is that a huge challenge for you? And if so, how do you kind of bust through that?
I think that's my biggest challenge, really. I was kind of hoping, when I picked up that book, Introvert Entrepreneur, I was hoping she was going to have some secret about how I don't have to network anymore because I'm an introvert. But she still says you need to do it in business. You need to
Yes.
speak to people. I
Mm-hmm.
do it in a way that is most comfortable for me at the moment. So, you know, text message, emails, as opposed to the phone calls. I'm not a fan of phone calls, you know, for that reason. I would prefer to meet up with someone, go on a, you know, coffee date or something. I'm not entirely sure why that is, but that's my comfort zone at the moment.
Yeah.
Definitely, I'm always working to be better. So I
Mm.
hope that will improve soon.
Yeah, I love, but I think what I am loving about even just speaking to you and, you know, even thinking about, you know, business and things like that is that it really is something that you can do on your own terms. Like the
Yeah,
way that you said, you know, play to your strengths, you know, do to us. I mean, obviously take risks. You have to grow as a person, but at the end of the day, it's about doing what's comfortable for you, because I think that's maybe the main difference between something like a 9 to 5, for example, and running a business, is that you actually can run it, you know, around yourself and around your life and around what you are like as a person. So,
absolutely.
you know, I think that's maybe another thing that, especially for our introverted friends who are watching, you know, that should kind of give you hope that actually, you know, yes, you might have to stretch yourself and faith will definitely have to come into play,
Mm.
but no one says you have to do it like everyone else. You can actually, you know, just work it as you would want to, right?
Yeah, definitely. And I think technology is the
Yes,
biggest tool for people these
yes.
days. I would say specifically for introverts as well, because it
Mm,
gives you that voice that you may not have been able to, or felt comfortable to do otherwise.
mm,
But everyone, you know, technology is just a massive game changer. So
yeah,
yeah, make
yeah.
use of that.
Yeah, agreed, agreed. And what about, you know, for, you know, somebody who's watching and, you know, wants to maybe start a business, but is perhaps not sure where to begin, or, you know, what steps they would take to go about that. Do you have any kind of tips or advice for them at all?
Yeah, well, my sort of advice is always just do it. When my friends, they will come and ask me, you know, how did you start? And I'm
Yeah.
like, just just do it. Like,
Mm-hmm.
if you let me give an example. If you want to start a stationery company,
Mm-hmm.
and you're thinking, oh, I don't know what to include, like, you could start with one thing. You could start with a notebook or a pen, just really simple. Get some concepts drawn up and sell that one item
Mm,
and see how it gets on.
yeah.
You don't have to always start big. Like, literally do the little that you can do now, whatever resources you have currently,
Mm-hmm.
just start. I'll use another example. I've also just started my podcast as well. And I was sitting on the idea for a long time because I thought I needed a professional camera. I
Yes,
needed,
all of
you know,
that.
a setup and all of a studio and all of this.
Yeah.
And so, my husband was like, you know, you can start now, and this is my microphone I use,
Yep.
you know,
Yep.
and it works fine, you know,
Absolutely.
and it will grow from there, I'm sure. But my biggest advice to people is just take action, just
Yeah.
take bold action, and just keep at it.
Yeah, you reminded me of actually one of my favorite quotes, which is basically start from where you stand. So just with the
Mm,
resources that you've got at the moment, the people that you, because I think it's not even just that people think they need to start big. It's, oh, but I don't know this person, or, you know, I
yeah,
can't do this. So I got, no, just start from where you stand, as Natalie is saying. Whatever you've got, you know, even if it's just your phone or whatever the case may be, use that, and
yeah.
yeah, it will grow definitely.
Absolutely. Yeah. Because there's never going to be a perfect time for you to
No.
start. It doesn't
Yes.
exist at all. And, you know, I'll use another example from our business currently.
Mm.
When we started, we would have never have dreamt that would be able to work with RBS. And we
Wow.
actually managed to do gifts for them,
That's amazing.
just by starting out. And my business partner is as amazing as she is. She went into the bank. She was speaking to the manager, and yeah, they bought hampers from us. So
Wow.
you really don't know. It just,
Yeah.
one little decision, one little conversation can really spiral on and make it to something bigger.
Yeah, it's so true. It's just about gaining that momentum and traction in the first place, isn't it? If you don't
Yeah,
start, it doesn't happen. Full stop. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
definitely. You just need to start. I love that advice. Thank you.
That's
And so
okay.
just thinking about, because as you know, like one of the main topics that I tend to write about especially is like, women, our power, finding our worth, and especially women of the Bible as well. So I just wanted to know whether or not you have a favorite woman of the Bible, and if so, who is she and why?
Yeah. Unfortunately, I don't necessarily.
Yeah.
Yeah, I have scriptures that
Yeah.
certain things that I will ponder on, but
Mm.
a particular person, no. I'm sorry if that's not the answer that you're
No,
looking for.
not at all. Because I've had people say that where, like you, it's either a particular scripture or what's it called, like a particular book of the Bible that they tend to
Yeah,
like as well. So, what are
yeah,
your go-to scriptures then? What are the ones that you kind of tend to ponder on?
yeah. It's anything about faith for
Mm.
me. And I was looking this morning at it's James 2:17. Faith without works is dead.
Yes.
And that is something that I just always in the forefront of my mind,
Yeah.
that yes, I'm believing God in all these great things and all this success, but if I
Mm.
don't do anything, then why should it be given to me?
It's true.
We have to work towards it. We're in partnership with God. It's a relationship. It's not
Yes.
just him just giving us everything that we want. We have to connect with him too. So
Mm.
yeah, those scriptures, and I think Hebrews 11. I'm really
Mhm.
bad at recalling the scriptures, but where it speaks about faith and the mustard seed. Is that in that scripture?
Oh, faith of mustard seed. I think that's in like the Gospels, I believe, but I don't remember
Yeah.
exactly where. But what we can do is I can put it in the show notes. Google is our
Yeah.
friend. I'll just put it in there.
Yes. Like, go for Google. Yeah, no, but yeah, anything sort of on faith and
Yeah.
that, it just really, really speaks to me and resonates with me.
Definitely. And then, so if you had to finish this sentence, so I'm a Christian woman who is, what would you say?
Okay. Oh, I'm a Christian woman who is, oh, the first thing that comes to my mind is unconventional,
Mm.
in the sense that I do not like traditions and like culture and things like that.
Yeah.
I like, when I read the Bible, when I read it for what the word is saying.
Yeah.
And sometimes that doesn't go with currently how it's played out in churches and things like that.
Mhm. Mhm.
So I would say that, if that makes sense.
It
Yeah.
does. It makes perfect sense. Not, I guess, assigning the traditional meanings to the scriptures, what you were used to hearing, like all the
Yeah,
time. Actually trying to dig out the gold for ourselves, and like,
absolutely.
what is it saying? Yeah, I would say the exact same thing. Absolutely.
Yeah. And I'm never afraid to have those questions as well. Instead of just being fed something by someone
Yes.
else, I question everything, and I
Yes.
may not share with everyone, but definitely me and God.
Yeah.
Those questions with him, definitely.
And I think it's so important because I think it's in those questions, especially that scripture where God talks about "Come, let us reason." Because I think
Mhm.
going back to the traditions and the stereotypes, the old school church, I think, is very much like, you shouldn't question God. That's
Yeah,
disrespectful. Da, 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 da.
yeah,
But it's just like, when you talked about school, for example, the best way to learn is by asking questions. The
hmm,
best students are often the ones who do challenge, because
exactly.
then it's not that you are, just learning by rote, but you have a true then understanding of it. And I think that's very important when it comes to faith. Otherwise, you do, I think, then fall into doing things just out of tradition or out of ritual or religion. And what good is that? You know?
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. It's
And
not a
so,
relationship then. Mm.
yes, and it's the relationship. That's really what needs to be stressed, definitely.
Mm.
And so if you had to kind of flip that around, so I am a Christian woman who is not, what would you say?
Who is not judgmental.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
just outside of being a Christian, I'm not judgmental of people at all, because
Yeah.
people have reasons for the way they act.
Yeah.
I definitely try and apply that as a Christian,
Mm.
that I always show love first, and then afterwards you do what you need to do. But
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's something I always pride myself on, not
Yeah.
being judgmental towards people.
Absolutely. Yeah, so important. And so just to end, do you have any other kind of encouragement for people who might be watching? And also do let them know like where they can find you, anything like that as well.
Yeah, I'll give the encouragement first. So yeah, my big mantra is just do it. It's never as bad as it seems. And once you get started, the ball will keep on rolling. And believe in yourself and always be true to who you are as a person. And
Mm,
even if that means only 10 people out there like what you're doing, then so be it. That's your
yeah.
calling to touch those
Mm,
10 people.
very
And
true.
yeah, I'm very much about just being my true authentic self. That's my saying all the time. But
Love
yeah,
it.
if you want to connect with me at all, I'm on Twitter and Instagram
Mhm.
as Q_ambitious. I'm more active on Twitter. I like to just tweet my ideas and my thoughts. And I'm also on Facebook, Quietly Ambitious, and my blog is www.quietlyambitious.co.uk.
Brilliant. Natalie, it's been such a pleasure like
Thank
speaking
you.
to you, and thank you just for being here, but also just sharing such amazing gems. I think this is actually like an important subject because even just growing up with, like thinking about myself and just I don't know, trying to figure out how best to kind of form relationships or just be authentic and those sort of things. It's a challenge.
Mm,
The
yeah.
world, society tries to make you fit into a certain box, and so to have people like yourself who are not afraid to do it differently and can actually kind of give us the roadmap to how is amazing. And I want to thank you very much for that, honestly.
Oh, thank you. Thank you very much. Thank you for having me on this. This
Yeah,
is my this is
no
my
problem.
first sort of video interview. So yeah, thank you.
Yeah, you're absolutely welcome. So with that, I'm gonna say goodbye. Enjoy the rest of your day.
Okay, thanks. Bye.
Bye. How amazing was that interview? Now, if you were just as blown away as I was by all of Natalie's kind of wisdom and pearls, then definitely feel free to like and also share this video with somebody else who you know would benefit with it. I say every week that sharing is caring, and that if you have received freely then you should also give freely. I would also love to know like what your biggest aha moments were, what were, I guess, the bits and points that kind of really stuck out to you. So let me know in the comments so we can continue this discourse. As you know, and as I say every week, I am highly interactive, okay? And if you'd like to see some more videos like this, or even of me just kind of mentoring you guys and helping you to know your worth, your power, and your purpose as a woman of God, then also feel free to subscribe by pressing the subscribe button below. And also don't forget to hit the bell, because what that will do is notify you every time I upload a video, which is at least once a week, most of the time twice. All right, so until next time, my loves, you take care, and I will see you again next week. Bye.